A very good evening to you. Namaste to all of you. It's such a pleasure and a joy to join you all once again for our Instagram live session. I'm hoping that we can do one such session at least every month, and I want to express my deepest and sincerest gratitude to our lovely Instagram community for always being so supportive, for all of your love, and for always engaging and interacting with all our posts and all our stories on this Instagram handle in this Instagram community. I'm extremely grateful to all of you for all that you do for me and this wonderful connection that we have as a community. Of course, I thought the live was meant to be at 7:30, so my sincere apologies for being a little late. I completely forgot that it was at 7 o'clock, and I had some meeting, and I thought it was at 7:30. So apologies for being late. But a couple of shout outs. Archana Pania, thank you so much for joining. Oh, you're very kind. So happy that you're here with us. Manas, it's Rage and Deep Karan Worldwide. Thank you so much for joining this live session. Pavan King S Kings United, Sidex. Thank you so much that you are with us for this live session, special live session entitled Love the Ruling Force, Valentine's Day special. So very, very grateful that you've all taken out your time and have joined us for this Instagram live session this evening. Saurabh, thank you for joining. Sumit 4951, Strings 08, Nikhil Hajare 14, P Singh 5238, Kelvin Chakma 93, Deol Harleen 304. Thank you very, very much for being with us this evening. Let's not forget, tomorrow the world over, the 14th of February, everywhere in the world, people are going to be celebrating Valentine's Day. But let's not forget this one thing, that on the same day, the 14th of February 2019, here in India, over 40 of our CRPF personnel, Jawans, were killed in Pulwama in that terrorist attack. And therefore, these personalities are personalities from our defense forces, personalities from the CRPF. They let go of their Valentines, maybe their parents, their partners, their spouses, their kids, their siblings. They let go of their love and stand there on the border to make these sacrifices so that we can be with our Valentines. And therefore, it's very, very important that we offer a tribute to them on this 14th of February as we celebrate Valentine's Day. Let's not forget that we must also offer a tribute to the sacrifices of these incredible personalities, these martyrs who gave their life so that we can be who we are today. And I request all of you to kindly, in the comments, send a bouquet or some flowers just as a tribute to all of these martyrs. Let's offer some flowers and some bouquets to respect them and press that love button to send love to them and to their families as well. And of course, tomorrow's the Valentine's Day. You can have your parents as your Valentine. You can have your friends as your Valentine. You can have your siblings and children as your Valentine. Someone whom we truly, genuinely love. But the specific focus on this Valentine's Day, obviously, is the relationship between lovers, spouses, partners, specifically the relationship which is based on love between lovers, partners, and spouses. So this evening, of course, we're going to talk a little bit more from that perspective, love and relationships from the perspective of spouses, partners, and lovers. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Relationships are like a deck of cards. They begin with hearts and diamonds, and often they end up with spades and clubs. Oh, good Lord. And sometimes I say on Valentine's Day, what happens often is roses are red and the sky is blue. People say to each other, roses are red and the sky is blue. You are my sweetheart, I love you. I'll repeat, Valentine's Day poem. Roses are red, sky is blue. You are my sweetheart, I love you. Right. But after a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a couple of years, the poem changes. Roses are dead, I am blue. You are my headache, Stop it or I'll kill you. Oh, good Lord. Trust me, relationships are so meaningful, they're so valuable, they bring us so much fulfillment. Love brings so much fulfillment and joy to the heart. The question is, how do we make sure that roses don't die? How do we make sure that the sky remains forever blue and the roses remain forever red? How do we maintain that spark of love in our relationships? If it's a new relationship, how do we create that spark? If it's an existing relationship, how do we maintain that spark? How do we grow that spark? How do we deepen that spark? Often it happens that roses are dead and the sky is gone, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, friends, it's very important to understand how to keep that spark going in our loving relationships with whoever, but with specific emphasis on lovers, partners, and spouses for this evening. And this morning I put up a post, a quote, where I said that love doesn't automatically happen. You have to make it happen. Relationships don't automatically happen. We have to make relationships happen. Bonding doesn't automatically happen. We have to make bonding happen. Relationships, love, bonding is hard work. Rishte, prem, प्यार, मोहब्बत, संबंध मुश्किल काम होती है दोस्तों, आसानी से नहीं होता. It's very, very crucial that we work hard to bring that spark back if we have lost it, to maintain and grow that spark if we have it, and to create that spark if the relationship is just starting. And therefore, there are a set of sacred principles, there are a set of sacred values that are so crucial to remember and so crucial as the foundational premise of these good relationships, of creating this fantastic bondings between each other. And of course, these principles are applicable for all relationships. But this evening we are talking specifically about what we talk on Valentine's Day. So stay tuned to hear these 3 principles that I want to share with all of you this evening, with a couple of experiences and stories that can really help our relationships go deeper, our love go fonder, and our hearts bind deeply with each other. But before I begin discussing the principles, a couple of shout outs again to all of you who are joining. Memu Khar and Mayuraj Devla, thank you. Hindi mein bhi bolunga na thoda thoda, kyun nahi? Zala Pragna, thank you for joining. Anand Surana and Dairy of Success. I love that name for the Instagram handle. Dairy of Success. Lovely, isn't it? Shekhar Rahul, thank you very much for joining. Tribhuvan Maharaj, Pooja Sharma, Swaralipi Sen Gupta, and Pradnya, Shweta Singh. So glad that you are all with us here for the live session this evening, and thank you all to all of you who are joining from different parts of the world. Now here's the first principle, the first value that is so important for any relationship, especially if it's a relationship between partners, lovers, and spouses. And that first principle is, there should not be in any relationship the need to explain yourself to each other. If there's a need to explain yourself to each other constantly, I think there's something wrong, something not right in that relationship. There was a lady, her husband came back home from office, and that evening she found a hair on her husband's shirt. And she started yelling and shouting at her husband, I know that you're going around with some other woman at this moment. You're not faithful. You're a victim of infidelity. You're cheating. You're cheating me. You're cheating on me. The man said, you look at the size of the hair. It's probably one of my hair. Anyways, things were a little better. A couple of weeks later, she again started yelling at him and shouting at him, and she found a white hair this time. She said, now I found a white hair. Now you're not going out with young women. You're going around with older women. So this is white hair. He said, this is the same size as my head and I have white hair as well. Why are you eating my head away? And guess what? A couple of weeks later, she didn't find any hair on her his shirt. She started yelling and shouting and saying, now you're not going out with young or old women, you started going around with bald women who don't have any hair. Oh, good Lord. क्या बताऊं मैं आपको? So much suspicion, so much doubt in the integrity of the other person in a relationship. Like if the man comes back home early, the partner or the lady, whoever, the partner will ask, why did you come back so early today? What happened? If the person comes back late, where were you for so long? इतना late क्यों हुआ? अरे तो करे क्या? जल्दी आए तो सवाल है, late आए तो सवाल है. You come back early, this question, why did you come back early? You come back late, this question, why did you come back late? One of my friends, I was sitting with him. He got 36 missed calls from his wife when I was sitting with him. 36 missed call देख के मुझे ऐसा लगा 36 का आंकड़ा तो नहीं है कहीं. 36 missed calls that guy got when I was talking to him and sitting with him. And then this man was telling me, you know what? Such a trouble this is. She's more of a surveillance camera, a CC camera, than a partner and a wife to me. He's constantly doubting. She's constantly in suspicion that I'm talking to somebody, I'm meeting somebody, I'm chatting with somebody on WhatsApp. She wants to stalk me on social media. She wants to take my phone and she wants to check all my WhatsApp messages, emails constantly. Always doubtful. And in relationships, it's very crucial that we should stop being a doubting Thomas, as they say. If we are constantly doubting and not giving a benefit of doubt, where's the question that a relationship can thrive? You know what? We don't need surveillance cameras in our relationships. Surveillance cameras are constantly monitoring what you're doing and where you are. You know what? Sometimes people can be so obsessively possessive of the person whom they love, but everybody needs some space. दिन रात कोई एक ही व्यक्ति के साथ बैठ के थोड़ी ना बातचीत, दोस्त है, काम है, so many things are going on in the world and each one needs a certain space. And it's so important to respect the need for individual space. A lady may need space, a man may need space. You may love each other very deeply, you may love each other very fondly, but we all need our space. And if we start acting as surveillance cameras, obsessively possessive of that person, rather than gaining that person's love, we start losing that person because we are so irritatively nagging, constantly nagging and irritating that person. और इसीलिए मैं कई बार कहता हूँ, I've said this many times. You don't need to explain yourself when you love someone. People who love you don't need your explanation. And people who don't love you don't care for your explanation. जो आपसे प्यार करते हैं, प्रेम करते हैं, उनको आपके एक्सप्लेनेशन की जरूरत नहीं होती. और जो आपसे प्रेम नहीं करते हैं, उनको आपके एक्सप्लेनेशन से कोई पड़ी नहीं होती. तो एक्सप्लेनेशन की जरूरत है ही क्या? And therefore, when there is true, genuine, heartfelt connection, relationships and bonding, you don't act like a surveillance camera, wanting an explanation for everything, wanting that the other person proves themselves to you. Why do we want people to prove themselves to us constantly? In a relationship, you're not here to prove each other right or wrong. रिश्तों में एक दूसरे को प्रूव करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़नी चाहिए. जहां प्यार होता है, जहां प्रेम होता है, वहां एक समझौता होता है, वहां एक समझ होती है. There is an understanding, there is trust, there is benefit of doubt. And of course, if you find that something is going wrong constantly, if you find your partner, if you find somebody else whom you're in a relationship with constantly doing something wrong and you find some red flags, then yes, some explanation is needed. Then yes, you will need to check their messages or their social media. You will definitely need to check that when there is serious trouble and you see some red flags. But in a general case scenario, please जी, सीसी कैमरा और सर्वेलेंस कैमरा मत बनिए. एक दूसरे को समझने की कोशिश कीजिए और एक दूसरे पे विश्वास रखिए. ट्रस्ट, giving each other a benefit of doubt and not having to prove oneself to each other, and not having to explain oneself to each other in every little thing is a very important and a crucial premise of good relationships. विश्वास, अपने आप को प्रूव करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ना और अपने आप को बार बार एक्सप्लेन करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ना is the first principle that I wanted to share with all of you this evening for good relationship. Of course, I did a live on YouTube. Check it out. The video is up on our YouTube channel where I spoke about conversations, the entire 1 hour as conversations necessary for good relationships. And then last week I did a live on our Facebook page. You can check that out as well, where I spoke about how relationships are a cultivation, how we need to cultivate relationships like we cultivate a plant. 1 full hour session, you can check that out too. But today we are talking about these 3 important principles for good loving relationships. The first one being not feeling the need to explain oneself, not feeling the need to prove oneself, trusting each other, giving each other the benefit of doubt, and giving each other that space to be, that space to breathe, that space to exist. कितना भी आप एक दूसरे से प्रेम करते हो, if you are obsessively possessive, God, it can be irritating and nagging. Give that space, trust, have benefit of doubt, give that benefit of doubt. And yes, your relationships will definitely go deeper, prosper, and lead into a beautiful flower of love. Before we go to the second principle for this evening, a couple of shout outs for all of you again. Asmita, thank you for joining us this evening. Akash, Bhavar, Monica. What if we understand and the partner doesn't? We'll talk about it. In the second principle is about that. I'll come to that. Akhilendra Sahu, thank you for joining us this evening. Rushab, very, very happy to have you with us. Shelly 1912, so happy. Mishti, thank you for joining. Mallika Gautam, I'm so sorry to hear that your heart is very heavy and you're unable to breathe. My prayers, whatever it is that you're going through, my prayers that you come out of it soon. Rinki Verma, thank you. Ruma Sharma, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Nishita Roy and Yash Kansara and Saxena G7 and Sharma Ayushi. Thank you for being with us for this Instagram live session, Valentine's Day special. The second principle that I wanted to share with all of you is what Saint Francis said. He said a very beautiful statement. He said, don't seek just to be understood always. Seek also to understand. In the world, we find everybody so selfish. Like a baby fish in the waters was asking the mother fish, Mama, why do we live in water? Why can't we live on earth? The mother said, look, beta, all fishes live in water, so we need to live in water, not on earth. The baby fish asked the mother again, but Mama, why do we need to live in water? Why not on earth? The mother turned to the baby fish and said, look, beta, look, darling, the jellyfish lives in the water. The goldfish lives in the water. The starfish lives in the water. Fishes are meant to live in the water, so we live in water. No, Mama, but why do we have to live in water? Why can't we live on the earth? Exasperated and frustrated, the mother turned to the baby fish, annoyed, and said, the earth is meant to be there for the shellfish. The goldfish, the starfish, the jellyfish lives in water. The shellfish live on the earth. Oh God, very strong, isn't it? Strong statement. And we don't want to be like that. And sometimes selfishness happens to rule over our relationships as well. Always wanting to be understood by our partner, understood by our parents, understood by our siblings, understood by our friends. Always seeking to be understood is very selfish. Yes, we need to be understood for sure, but always just one-sided if we want to be understood. It's extremely selfish. You understand my pain. You understand what I'm going through. You understand my point of view. You understand my opinions. You understand my heart. You understand my space. You understand why I made this decision. You understand me constantly. And if you want to have somebody understand you constantly, that's extremely selfish. To extend oneself, to be able to understand others. अपने आप को एक्सटेंड करना जिससे हम दूसरों को भी समझ पाए, ये नहीं कि दूसरे ही हमको समझे। जब हम अपने आप को एक्सटेंड करते हैं कि ताकि दूसरे भी हमको समझ पाए, दैट इज सेल्फलेसनेस। एंड इट्स सो इंपॉर्टेंट दैट वी एक्सटेंड आवरसेल्व्स टू अंडरस्टैंड what others are going through in that relationship as well. And to extend ourselves to understand others means to keep our ego aside, to keep quiet, very often to listen, not to reply but to understand. To understand others means to make others feel important. Very often in a relationship, when we want to be understood, we want to make sure that we make them feel that we are important. In a relationship, we don't want to show that we are important. In a relationship, we want to show that you are important. And both sides, when they try to make each other feel important, both sides, when they extend each other to understand each other, that extending oneself, that selfless extending oneself to listen, to understand, to empathize, उन्होंने निर्णय लिया, उन्होंने डिसीजन लिया, शायद गलत भी हुआ होगा तो समझो ना क्यों हुआ, मुझे क्यों समझो, उनकी भी साइड समझो, उनकी भी बात समझो, और उनकी बात समझने के लिए सुनना जरूरी होता है। अपने अहंकार को, अपने ईगो को अलग रखना जरूरी होता है, अपने आप को सेल्फलेसली एक्सटेंड करना जरूरी होता है। एंड देयरफॉर इट इज सो वेरी क्रूशियल दैट वी ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड, not just be understood. That is definitely selflessness. And the extension of selflessness in a relationship is if we love somebody deeply, we're not so concerned about how I feel. We are very concerned about how others feel. How does the beloved feel is more important to us than how I feel. And the extreme degree of selflessness in a loving relationship is to step out of that relationship. If the need be to step out of that relationship, if that stepping out is going to be beneficial for the person whom we love, if that stepping away and stepping out is going to be beneficial for both the people in that relationship, it's so important to then be selfless. Selfishness demands, because I love her or love him, I'm possessive of him or her, and therefore selfishness demands I want them at any cost. But if it's harmful to them and it's harmful to that relationship, it's important to be detached and even let go. Like recently I was talking to a gentleman, and this gentleman was telling me about his story. He was madly in love with a girl. They went around for a week just talking to each other. And she said, I actually don't want to get married, but if I ever decide to get married, I'll get married to you. And she said, we shouldn't talk now, we shouldn't kind of interact with each other, but if I ever decide, I'll get back to you. 11 years. This guy waited for a full 11 years. And after 11 years last week, he heard that she's getting married to another man. And he was devastated, shattered. He came to me. और मेरे पास आया, and I'm like, sometimes it's funny, all these heartbreak cases come to monks, you know. I have to constantly keep dealing with these heartbreak cases. You can imagine what's going to happen tomorrow. Line लगेगी कल. So he was telling me this story that she kind of decided to get married. And guess what he told me? He said to me, whatever it is, I know that I'm not financially stable, and I don't think I can actually care for her and start a family easily. I've waited enough. And if she's found someone who's really, really going to care for her and who truly loves her, it's fine. I was surprised. He was crying. He was shattered. But what mattered to him was the welfare of that girl. And he truly felt that that man would be the right person to care for her. And yes, they parted ways. He was crying. And I was singing the song to him. अच्छा चलता हूँ दुआओं में याद रखना, मेरे जिक्र का जुबा पे सुवाद रखना, दिल की संदूकों में मेरे अच्छे काम रखना, चिट्ठी तारों में भी मेरा तू सलाम रखना। अंधेरा तेरा मैंने ले लिया, मेरा उजला सितारा तेरे नाम किया। चन्ना मेरे या चन्ना मेरे या चन्ना मेरे या बेलिया ओ पिया। I'm seeing all the laughter emoticons and emojis there, hearing me sing this song. Everybody is laughing, hearing me sing this Channa Mereya song. Maybe we should tag Arijit Singh in this live and say that, hey, look, he sang the song that you sang. But truly, when I sat with him, when we were discussing this, I found him to be like this. अंधेरा तेरा मैंने ले लिया, मेरा उजला सितारा तेरे नाम किया. Selflessness is about taking the person up whom we love, their darkness on us, and giving them the shining star of our life. If you truly love somebody, you want to give them the shining star of your life. You want to take their darkness, you want to take their pain, you want to understand their pain, you want to see what they're going through, you want to see what hurts them, you want to see the space they're coming from, and not just say, you understand me. I want to understand you. And I want to even go to the extent of being so selfless that if the need be, I'll step away from you for your benefit, for your welfare, for your happiness, for your joy. That is true love. Not the love which is selfish. That I'll take your shining star and I'll give you my darkness. You know, अंधेरा मेरा तू ले ले और तेरा उजला सितारा मुझे दे दे. No. We don't want to be selfless in our relationships, where we want people to give us their shining stars and we give them our darkness. We take their darkness and give them our shining stars. Whether it's your parents, whether it's your family, whether it's your partners, whether it's your lovers, whether it's your boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, whoever. Love means to bring that shining star in the life of someone we love and to take their darkness away. अंधेरा तेरा मैंने ले लिया, मेरा उजला सितारा तेरे नाम किया. Selfless love means not just wanting to be understood, but seeking to understand. And that's my second principle for this evening. Out of the three principles which are required to make, three values that are required to make our relationships beautiful, deep and profound. Praveen Saraswat, thank you. I'm Saurav. Why did you put the tikka on your head? Oh, why did I put my tikka on my head? Well, I follow a certain faith and this is a part of my uniform, if you might call it. Like a policeman will put a cap on his head, so probably this is like a tikka on my head, my spiritual uniform. Mayur Mehta, thank you for joining. MSR 7 and Vivek Arya, Zakir Hussain, Milin Min, Smith Limbachia, hello, Being Siddharth, it's Sonia, still me, yeah, Sugar Ravina, thank you very much for joining. Mayur Mehta, so happy to have you with us this evening. JJ Dadwani, oh, I'm a fan of all of you as well. I'm just so grateful that you're here. Mansa Behel, oh yeah, I would love to have you visit us. Definitely would love to see you. Let's see if we can meet and chat someday. Satnam Singh, Kashish Kohli, Bhagya Patel 09, Mr. Vaish 09 again, Amanjuya, Sham Gopal, thank you for joining the session. I love being with all of you too. It's a great joy always to interact with all of you and discuss these important life-related lessons, principles, values that can truly transform our life, transform our love, and transform our relationships as well. The last and the third principle that I want to share with all of you. Oh, thank you. I love you so much too. The hearts of SRK. I'm not the best mentor, trying to be one. Thank you for all of your kind words and encouraging words of great love and appreciation. Very, very grateful to all of you. Here's the last and the third principle that can truly make our love go deeper and our relationships and our hearts bind stronger. The third and the last principle is we do not want people to change the way we want them to be. Rather, we want to love people for who they are and accept them in totality and completely. Of course, there are a few things here and there which need adjustments, which need a little bit of changes here and there. हर रिश्ते में थोड़ी चीजें एडजस्ट करनी पड़ती है, थोड़े कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस होते हैं. Both sides have to change a little bit to make things work. Like I said, relationship means we need to make things work, right? And in order to make things work, some adjustments are needed. Some compromises are needed. Some few things here and there will need to change in us. We don't want to be like Adiyal. We don't want to be like stubborn, where we say, मैं नहीं बदलूंगा, तू जा भाड़ में. Sorry for that. We don't want to say that, right? We will. When we love each other, we will make those adjustments. When we love each other, when we have that deep bonding, we will make those compromises if needed. We will make those micro changes in ourselves. But at the same time, true love is that we do not want people to change their core nature and their core self for us. छोटी छोटी चीजें यहाँ वहाँ बदलनी तो जरूरी होता है जी रिश्तों में, लेकिन लोगों के कोर को पूरी तरह बदलने की अपेक्षा करना कितनी बड़ी गलती है वो. We don't want people whom we love to change for us. Let them be who they are. Let's accept them for who they are. Let's love them for who they are. Let's not love them for who we want them to be. And of course, again I'm saying, a few changes, we will definitely make them to make our relationships work. I want to conclude this evening's session with a story that I told in our Facebook live session last Monday. You can check that session out. Except for the story, the whole discussion is different. But the story is the last part. Even in that session, it was the last part. It was a fantastic story I came across recently. A story that moved my heart, and I'm sure it will move each one of our hearts as well. Syed Jaffrey, the Indian British actor, he got married to a lady whose name was Mehrunima when she was about, I think, 17 years or so. And Syed Jaffrey, being a British Indian actor, was extremely sophisticated. His dressing, his clothes, his mannerisms, his etiquette, his language, extremely refined and sophisticated. And Mehrunima, she was a simple Indian lady. A simple homemaker, a simple mother, a loyal wife to Syed Saab. Very, very, very gentle, beautiful, and a very, very soft-spoken, reserved woman. And Syed Jaffrey, he realized that and this was in his diary when Syed Jaffrey passed away in 2015, I suppose. This story was found in his diary. He himself wrote the story. He wanted her to change. He wanted her to be sophisticated. He wanted her to dress in a certain way. He wanted her to speak in a certain way. He wanted her to learn all these sophisticated mannerisms. But she wasn't of that kind. She was a very simple woman. They had 3 daughters. She loved their daughters. They brought up their daughters with great love, with great affection, connected to Syed Saab and loved him, served him. But somehow or the other, Syed Jaffrey wanted to change her. And it was just beyond her to change. She tried, not that she didn't try. Because in love, like I said, there is a need. We try to change, but it wasn't her core nature. And to change somebody's core nature is not what should be done in a relationship. Guess what? As Syed Jaffrey was filming for a movie, he fell in love with a co-actress. He divorced Mehrunima because she didn't change him, divorced her, and he decided to get married to this co-actress. And his co-actress was extremely well-dressed, refined, sophisticated. Her language, her mannerisms, her etiquette, everything was like spot on the way he wanted it. And guess what, guys? Sure enough, the divorce went through. They broke up. He got married to this other lady. Years later, as Syed Saab was sitting in his house, he saw a book. And on the book was like a book on cooking, cookbook. And on this book, he saw the picture of Mehrunima. She was looking extremely sophisticated, well-dressed, extremely modern. And instead of Mehrunima, she'd taken the name Madhura. Her now name was Madhura Jafri. She still is living and her name is still Madhura Jafri. He decided to figure out what had happened. And he got to know that she lives in New York City. And as he was filming in the country, he decided to fly down to New York to meet his previous wife, his ex-wife, Mehrunima Jafri, who was now Madhura Jafri and who was married to a man now. When he came to that place, Mehrunima, now Madhura, who was an accomplished cook, actress as well, I suppose, didn't want to meet him. But her now husband, who was an American man, decided to bring his 3 daughters, Syed Saab's and Mehrunima's daughters, to meet Syed Saab. And when the man came with his 3 stepdaughters, 3 girls who were now grown up, spoke to their father before, their biological father, and said, "You know what? The one big mistake you made, Dad, was you wanted Mom to change for you. Isn't that selfish? When you want somebody to change for yourself, isn't that selfish? What if you would have just wanted her to be who she was, loved her for who she was, accepted her for who she was? You couldn't give that to her. But this gentleman, who is now our father, our stepfather, he gave her that space. He gave her complete acceptance. He gave her that space to evolve at her own pace. He gave her that understanding, total understanding that you can be you. And sure enough, just in a couple of months' time and just in a short while, the tremendous potential that she had within herself started flowering because she was given that space. She was respected for who she was. She was accepted for who she was. She was loved for who she was. And yes, Mehrunima became Madhura Jafri, a popular figure, an author of about 5 or 6 or 7 books. It's an incredible story. And when I heard that story, I felt that's true love. That's true relationships. And that is the third very crucial and important principle as well. Do not want to others in our relationships to change for us. Yes, few changes here and there, छोटी छोटी चीज़ें यहाँ वहाँ बदलनी पड़ती है, ज़रूरी है, करना ही पड़ेगा. अगर रिश्ते हैं तो दोनों साइड से एडजस्टमेंट लगती है. ताली एक हाथ से तो नहीं बजती, ताली तो दोनों हाथ से बजती है. Relationship means both sides. When we are talking about the first principle, not wanting to explain ourselves to each other, it's for both sides. When we say seek to understand, not to be just understood, it's for both sides. And when we say that we accept each other, make those little changes here and there for sure, but not want the other person to change their core. Love them for who they are, and we see how that relationship blossoms, how that relationship evolves, how that relationship becomes deeper, how love actually starts to bear the fruit, the genuine fruit of deep affection, deep appreciation, and deep bonding with each other. And therefore, these 3 principles are extremely crucial. Don't be a surveillance camera. Don't want the other person to prove themselves to you. Give some space, give a benefit of doubt, and do not want them to explain every single point to you. If we are able to do that, that relationships grows deeper. Of course, if there are some red flags, Take it seriously, ask for an explanation, question it if you see a red flag. But otherwise, in a general case scenario, don't be too naggy and irritating and constantly wanting those explanations. The second principle, seek not to be just to be understood, but to understand as well. And that's selflessness. Selflessness means I want to see what you feel. I want to see how you feel, what space you come from, and if required, to move away, to step away for the welfare of that relationship or for the welfare of that person as well. And last but not the least, the third principle is, yes, a few adjustments in a relationship are needed, but we don't want others to change completely their core for us. Rather, we want to accept people for who they are. We want to accept people the way they are, and that is how relationships go deeper, love grows fonder, and yes, our hearts are together forever. Ahmedabad Lucknowi, oh, thank you for saying it was so inspiring. Veetish lady, true love always hurts. Indeed, true love hurts because true love is selfless. Indeed, true love hurts because true love is meant to sacrifice. Indeed, true love hurts because true love is meant to act for the welfare of the beloved. Indeed, true love hurts because true love means to keep our ego aside. हाँ जी, हिंदी में भी बोल रहा हूँ. जीत, थैंक यू, आप आज हमारे साथ यहाँ शाम को इस लाइव सेशन में आए. बहुत बहुत आपका शुक्रिया. Faizan, yes, I'll probably take up the 7 Habits book one day and talk about the 7 Habits of Successful People in one of the live sessions as well. Maggie Garewal, thank you for being with us, and I'm so grateful that we heal each other. And yes, Are Bhati from Pakistan, thank you for joining us all the way from Pakistan. Malangan, Haider, yeah, indeed, true love hurts. But I'm so grateful that all of you take out your time and join us for these live sessions. I eagerly look forward for our next live session in the month of March. I hope we can have some guests. It's been a while that we haven't had any guest for our conversations. I hope we can have somebody for a nice conversation in the month of March. Until then, stay safe, stay happy. On the Valentine's Day tomorrow, whoever you want to express your love for, your parents, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your lovers, partners, spouses, whoever it is, express your love. And do not forget to, in your stories or in your posts, also express your love and appreciation for those 40 odd CRPF personnel who lost their lives in the Pulwama attack. Tomorrow, do post stories, do share something on your social media platforms to express our appreciation and respect for those martyrs who did so much for us. Once again, thank you all very, very much for being with us this evening. Wish you a great evening ahead if you're from India, and warm greetings if you're joining us from any other part of the world. Thank you very much.